I'm Dr. Tamara Harwell, and I'm going to discuss figurative language with you. There are several types of figurative language. There's a box here that says what they are: simile, oxymoron, idiom, hyperbole, personification, alliteration, pun, onomatopoeia, and metaphor. I'm not going to cover all of them, but I'm going to cover most of them. So what are they? They're figures of speech, and they are just tools that authors use to create imagery, comparison, inferences, try to give a special effect to just make their writing more interesting. We use it almost daily. I'm sure you've used them quite often, even though you might not even be aware of it. And none of these should actually be taken literally. They're implying something different. And while there are more types, the main four are the similes, metaphors, personification, and a hyperbole. I'm also going to talk about idioms and onomatopoeia. So let's get going. Actually, let's go back. Here's a little funny for you. It says, okay, now let the cat out of the bag. There's not literally a cat in a bag. He's basically saying, spill the beans. Oh, but that's another one, right? He's saying, tell me what you know. Tell me the good stuff, right? Okay, first is similes and metaphors. These two do the same thing. They are comparing two dissimilar objects to each other. The difference is simile uses the word like or as, and metaphor doesn't. For example, if a woman walked in the room and just lit up the room, figurative language, um, you could say she's like a social butterfly. Well, she doesn't have wings and flap, right? She's like a social butterfly is a simile to say that, when she is around people, she's really talkative, she's really interesting, and everybody seems to like her. That sort of thing. It's up to you to decide exactly what the meaning is. And usually it's either the tone of how it's said or other items around it to take it out of context. So here's some simile examples. As sweet as pie. If somebody said I was the sweetest pie, it does not mean that they could take a bite out of my finger and taste pumpkin pie. It just means they're a nice person, right? Someone who is as colorful like crayons. Colorful like crayons does not mean that they have skin that is all different color. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Instead, it just means that they're probably like me, extra out there or something. Exactly how it's to be implied, we don't know. Like I said, it has to be the stuff around it to let you figure it out. What does it mean to be colorful like crayons? Other examples, if you have watched Forrest Gump, he says, Mom always said life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Realistically, yes. Boxes of chocolates, you'll pick up this round chocolate and bite into it. It could be coconut, it could be strawberry cream. No idea, right? What does it mean here? It does not mean somebody's got a box of chocolates eating it, although Forrest does in the movie. It means that everybody's just kind of different on the inside, right? You never know who people are. Don't judge a book by its cover. You're going to see a lot or hear a lot of figurative language in this video. Here are some other similes. The children were as noisy as a group of monkeys. If you've ever been to the zoo, especially during feeding time, you'll hear monkeys quite loudly. John was like a peacock strutting about in his new suit. So you know how peacocks flip all those feathers and just make the cawing sounds. He's not doing that. He's just out there, putting it out there, right? I'm as cool as a cucumber. No, actually, I do have my space heater on. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean temperature. It means that, I'm cool, dude, right? A metaphor, same thing, but does not use the word like or as. Why these are two separate things, I don't know. I didn't create language. So they're comparing two things. For example, my mom is a teddy bear. Your mom is not this big stuffed thing that is covered in hair. She's comforting. If you are having a bad day, that's what you want. It's your mama, usually. So that's what they're meaning. He is a prune. What does that mean? Well, it could infer that he's old and wrinkly, or maybe he's sweet on the inside. Here's a funny little comic I found. It says, how to tell you're going to have a long stay in post-op. It says, I don't want to nitpick, doctor, but isn't a way to a man's heart through his stomach just a metaphor? Yeah, it doesn't mean we're actually going through the stomach to work on the heart. It just means basically feed a man and he'll care. Comparison, they're pretty much the same thing, except like or as. Similarly, my allergy medicine made my head feel like a balloon. You know how your head feel like it's floating above you? Um, or metaphor, one man's trash is another man's treasure. That's why we have yard sales. Just because somebody's throwing it out doesn't mean it's always trash, right? Next is personification. Personification is when you give human attributes, human traits, qualities, feelings, characteristics to non-living or non-human objects. For example, the microwave timer told me it was time to turn my dinner. It didn't tell me anything. It's not going to go, hey, Tamara, go, No, it just beeps and signals you to do something. But saying that it told you, that's something a human could do. That's personification. My bed is calling my name. Beds don't have a voice box. They can't call your name. It just means you're tired. The printer ate my paper. Printers don't have teeth. They have gears, and they don't eat anything. They have no digestive system. But it just means that, there was a paper jam. My computer hates me. No, computers have no feelings. But we can infer that you're just having problems with technology, right? Next is alliteration. Alliteration is a repetition of sound. It makes it just more flowery. These are some examples. They are tongue twisters. Let's see if I can get through them. The sly snake slithers slowly in the sand. Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers. I thought it was pickled peppers. She sells seashells by the seashore. I bought a bag of big bell peppers. I did it. That's all it is. This is just a repetition of words. Onomatopoeia. The word is the sound. Bam, boom, pop, crash. It makes the sound. It's that simple. Those are easy ones. Hyperbole is extreme exaggeration, blowing something way out of proportion. So it says hyperbole is, without a doubt, the single greatest thing in the history of the universe. Pretty sure that's probably oxygen or water, but you get the point. It says, I will literally die if you don't stop using hyperboles incorrectly. No, I could use hyperboles incorrectly all day long. It does not mean you are going to die, right? So a hyperbole is a statement that gives extreme exaggeration, blows things way out of proportion, and it just does that to add emphasis or bring attention to the seriousness of the issue. So have you ever said you were hungry enough to eat a horse, or that your head was going to explode? I doubt you can eat an entire horse, especially in one sitting. There's no way you could do that. It just means you're extremely hungry. My head is going to explode usually means you have a headache. It's not going to physically explode. I've never known that to happen to anybody. But yeah, it just emphasizes seriousness. Idioms. Idioms can be sort of like a slang. None of these should be taken literally, but it's saying something that infers something else. For example, did you hear or did you think of something off the top of your head? On the top of my head is hair or a hair clip. No, it just means thinking, your brain, right? Let me give you a piece of my mind. No, I'm not going to cut open my skull and give you a piece of my mind. It just means I'm going to tell you what I think, right? Or that's a piece of cake. That infers that something is simple. In this day and age, well, what is this day and what is this age? It just means nowadays or now. That's so fire. I've heard that recently. These are just idioms. They're not meaning a word for word what they're saying. It's implying something else. Why do authors use it? They're just trying to make the writing more fun and more interesting. Helps you grasp the message a little bit better if they can get that point across to you in a way that interests you. I hope this helped. Thank you.